this episode of Community Beat. Today we want to talk to you about some safety concerns that may be occurring to you while we prepare for this impending storm leading into the Christmas holiday. Joining me today is Dr. Marc Crescenzo.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Good to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And John Doherty, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Merry
He's
Christmas.
our Vice President of Therapy Services. We're going to ask both of these guys some questions around how we can prepare you better to ensure that you're safe during this storm. Dr. Crescenzo, there's a lot of things that happen in a storm situation, and I think awareness is one of the most
Yes.
important aspects that we can convey to some of our patients, our friends, families, and neighbors. Can you talk about some of the concerning elements that may occur during a cold season or a winter storm?
Sure, absolutely. That's a good question. As the temperatures are dropping, holiday season's coming, a lot of people will be traveling. I'd say the first thing to take in mind would be to make sure that you have warm clothes. Obviously, layering is the best to do. If you're going to be outside for any activity, it's good to have your skin covered. If you're traveling by car, going to family, loved ones, wherever, it'd be good to have a blanket in your trunk, some extra boots, gloves, hat, coat, just in case of emergency. And if you're traveling by car, you would probably want to have your gas tank full. You would like to give yourself some extra time as conditions could get treacherous. And you'd probably want to make sure your cell phone is charged if you don't have that in your car. Although most cars probably have that, but it's just something good to keep in mind. Now, if you're going to be traveling by air, I would recommend, if you're in the airport or airplane, to wear a mask. There has been extremely high levels of flu, COVID, and RSV this season, and a mask can help prevent all of that. So that would be highly recommended. Now, if you are outside, you do want to keep your skin covered. And if your clothing gets wet, you'd want to remove that as soon as possible, as that can lead to further skin injury. Now, what can happen? You could get frostbite. The first sign of frostbite would be frost nip, where you get tingling or burning in your extremities or exposed skin. And if that happens, you want to get out of the cold as soon as possible. Now, further degrees of frostbite, you could get numbness, throbbing, aching, and blisters can occur. Now, if any of this happens, you should go inside and you want to rewarm in circulating warm water, like 98.6 body temperature up to about 102 degrees. You don't want to go any warmer than that. And you want to massage the area until it becomes pliable and red. Okay. Now, if you start developing blisters, then you might want to go to an urgent care or an emergency department. All right. Now, if you're outside and you start becoming nauseated, confused, shivering, those could be early signs of hypothermia. Please get inside as soon as possible. If the symptoms persist, once again, go to the urgent care or emergency department.
Dr. Crescenzo, thank you. That really does encapsulate a lot of the concerns that may be worrying some of the folks that are watching this video. So really appreciate that insight. Sure. Following the storm, we know that oftentimes we have a fairly large amount of cleanup that occurs. Within that cleanup, there's a lot of other issues that can be plaguing to some of the folks that are doing that cleanup. And John, I would like to know, how do we prepare those folks to manage the aftermath of a storm like this?
Well, you want to clean up, obviously, your property, but the thing to keep in mind is, especially if you're not particularly physically active, is to do it in stages. You don't need to do it all at once. And when you're doing it, it's important to remember to lift as much as you can with your legs instead of your back, and please don't hold your breath. The other thing to keep in mind is, once the snow has fallen, please be aware of the fact that there may be ice underneath the snow. So better to be wearing a pair of boots that have some traction on them rather than a pair of shoes that you could easily slip with. So be aware of the ice underneath, do the cleanup in stages, and use your legs instead of your back.
Thank you so much. Those are really good reminders of ensuring that we prevent you from having any sort of injury. I want to thank you guys again for joining me on Community Beat and giving our viewers some really good tips on managing the hopefully minimal impact of the storm. But if it is here, we are all well prepared to navigate the storm effectively. And we'll see you guys next time on Community Beat. Thank you.
Thank you.